Oh, yeah. Welcome to the Results or Excuses podcast. I'm your host, A.G. Goldsmith, and there's so much that could be said about our guest here today and so many praises that could be sung. She's an inspiration to me and don't even know it, and I genuinely am privileged to have her here on the podcast today. Now, she's a registered nurse who has worked in the emergency room. She's worked in post-anesthesia care unit, helping surgery patients recover, and has now been a part of other essential personnel as well, without which hospitals will be nothing more than a big building without its heart and soul being a part of it. She has helped save lives, and she's doing the same thing, helping people even before they get to the hospital. Now, with no culinary background, Alisha has shown brilliance in the art of making breathtaking smoothies and has been dubbed the smoothie mix master here in the Low Country. Alisha Magwood, welcome to the Results or Excuses podcast.
Thank you. That was a very nice introduction.
For sure. And it's all true.
Yes.
You've certainly been an inspiration, and I know you got quite a story.
Yes, quite a story.
Quite a story. And we want to hear a little bit about it. And I want the listeners to kind of actually know a bit about, you and where you come from and so forth. But if you don't mind, let's dig right into it. I want you to touch on the family a bit.
Yes.
I'm sure things have been a little bit different since you lost your partner a while back. And I want you to kind of, touch base on that.
Okay. So I am originally from Atlanta, and I moved here in 2011 after getting married, starting a family. Of course, was in nursing then. But even then, I did see changes taking place in the healthcare system, management from higher ups all the way down to the nurses. So I foresaw that my time in bedside nursing was coming to an end.
You already kind of knew.
Yes.
Okay.
So I always had a vision that I would own a business. Initially, it was going to, of course, be more in line with nursing. I entertained resident care facilities, doing my own home health care agency, just stuff that was more in line with nursing and the actual medical field. It wasn't until I moved here, still with the passion to have something of my own.
Right.
But I started to appreciate more of my background from childhood of just herbs and like healing. My mom, I remember being young and her always taking us to, like the herb shops and, doing stuff like that. So it always was a part of my upbringing. So I really took time to sit and think like, what would I really want to open? And my thought was always, I don't want it to feel like work. I want to have fun doing it. And I still wanted to help people. So I started brainstorming. I was like, okay, you know what? There's no smoothie places around here. So that was my first thought.
Okay.
And then the ones that we do know of, in my opinion, aren't as healthy as people think. Because of all of the syrups and, preservatives and things.
I got to have a little sweet taste in it or something.
You can, but it can be naturally sweet.
That's true.
So I was like, you know what? I think I can open up a smoothie shop and do a little twist to it. So anytime I was thinking of a business, I was like, okay, what would make me stand out? What would make people want to come to me over a big box chain?
Right.
That's well known. Everybody already goes to them. What would make me different? So my thought was no ice and no sugars.
No ice
dairy.
And no sugar.
No
okay,
ice.
I understand the sugar part.
So a lot of times, your smoothies, other places use ice. And it's more like for fillers to bulk up the amount of, So I wanted people to get a cup full of everything that they thought they were getting. If you're getting fruit and a vegetable smoothie, get that without the fillers of the ice. So I did that.
I did not know that.
Came up with, the whole concept, started making the smoothies at home. At the time, I had my daughter, Mariah. She was like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So she was my tester.
Okay.
I figured she's a picky child. If she liked it, it was going on the menu.
That's it.
So I did that. I literally made the menu at home in the kitchen. The smoothies, the juices, putting everything together, coming up with the names. To just finalize a menu. And from there, I just started researching and doing everything. And mind you, I was still in nursing. I was still working.
Right. So I definitely can relate to that. Working a 9 to 5 and trying to figure it all out as far as that goes. So we definitely, I'm glad you shared that particular because that's an important part to where you just don't make the decision just to leave, right? And to figure it all out. I mean, you got to kind of balance it all, which kind of leads to my next question. Now that you've started the business and got that flowing, how do you balance with the kids, the business, the life? Because I would imagine you're just not going to start out with just staff.
No. So, of course, after I got everything going, we opened up. And I'll even backtrack. Even in the process of opening the business, I mean, you got to remember, me and my husband at the time was still working, young kids. So in order for me to open Fusion, I had to come out of work. So at the point of we're ready, we got the menu, we found the building, we know the renovations, we got all of that going. I had to come out of work. So household, everything was for my husband now because the mindset is we're opening a business. We're not taking anything from the business. Hold up. Everything that the business makes goes back into the business.
So he had to change his responsibilities now.
He just had to step up.
So he had to step up.
He just had to step up and carry the household.
So I should be giving him a little bit more props.
Yeah.
Us men, we got to step up now.
Yeah. And he backed my dream, my vision. We were on board. And so, I came out of work to solely focus on Fusion. So yes, that changed the dynamics, for both of us really. He worked a lot on the road. So even though he was working, he was still not at home during the week. So I still was running Fusion and home with the kids. So it was a struggle. I'm not going to lie. It was a struggle. But I think more so the mindset. If you have your mindset and you see that end result, you see that vision, it starts with the mindset. You're going to get discouraged. It's going to be times where it's like, why did I do this? I could have just stayed in nursing.
You second guess yourself, you know, for sure. One of the biggest questions I have is the fact that you didn't have a culinary background.
No.
You didn't go to school. It just seems like you just kind of drew from inspirations and Mama's Kitchen, etc.
So it's funny now. When I was trying to decide which type of business I was going to run, not many people know this, but it was either going to be a smoothie and juice bar or a lounge. Because part of my personal side is like I would be the mixer for like our home family functions and stuff. So I would mix up the drinks and I could just do that without measurements and just eyeballing. So it's just something that I guess it was in me.
What kind of stuff was you putting in them drinks too? What was you mixing together now? Because I know what you make smoothies now, and I had them, and I can attest that they, what would you?
I will see a recipe, and I'll record. That was actually one of the things we would do, me and my husband. So if we were out somewhere eating or whatever the case may be, we look at each other and say, I bet you can make that. So it was almost like if we saw it, we would try and recreate it.
Right.
So that was kind of what I did for events or just things that we would have. So I was like, smoothie or wine bar, smoothie or mixer. I was like, okay, this will be a bit more easier because when I started looking into the bar and liquor license stuff, I was like, okay, I don't have a business background either. So let me try and keep it as simple as possible. But yeah, so the recipes just kind of come naturally in a sense.
Okay.
Even now, if we get someone that wants to create their own, mentally, I have a concept of how to take whatever ingredients you want and make it good.
Okay.
Because there's not a recipe for a create your own. If someone tells me they want, kale, spinach, turnips, and, I got to figure out how to make that good.
Okay.
So
that's like grandma used to do in her kitchen.
Yeah. So
she didn't look at them books. It was all in the heart and the soul of what she did. What are some of the ways that you keep yourself enthused? Because there's up and downs, when it relates to owning your own business and running your business, the day-to-day job, and, it all falls onto you. I mean, what keeps you going and keeps you sane, especially in the tough times?
I don't know if I'm still sane.
You don't know if you're still sane?
It really is. It's a constant battle of just self-check, really. Because I cannot say that every day, I didn't question. Even when I closed, I ended up closing Fusion after my husband passed. And I lost all motivation. I think that's actually during that time is when you introduced yourself to me when we were closed.
Yeah.
And I lost all passion. I didn't see me opening Fusion back. And it was just probably my lowest state because Fusion was my baby. But I also feel like it was tied to the loss. And I think that's why I lost a lot of the passion because it was like, I still got to do this without him now. So it took a while to bounce back. I was closed just about the whole year of 2020. COVID did not help. Or maybe it did,
Right.
It did slow me down. So I did. I took that time and I just put it into kids, homeschooling, but eventually it never completely went away. I had people like you. I had my customer, like different people inboxing me, well wishes, and even, you think you're going to open back up? Like people were still wanting it.
That always helps as far as when you got people in your corner. I imagine folks would have said, Alisha, go back to the hospital.
I mean, I thought.
What are you doing? You thought about it.
Wow. Especially now, nurses are getting paid.
That's it.
Nurses getting paid. I considered travel nursing while we were homeschooling, take the kids with me wherever I went. But the difference was where my passion was. I did not have that pull to go back to nursing in that capacity.
And a lot of people don't understand that.
No, they don't. They see the money, but honestly, the conditions and the just hypocrisy that I know still is there, it's not worth it to me.
It's not worth it keeping your sanity and so forth.
Peace, yeah.
You can't buy peace, for sure. And I know we talked about it a little bit already. Did you second guess yourself? And I think you already expressed the fact that you second guess yourself. Where do we go from here? Because, and you mentioned the fact that, you had to close down the physical location, the brick and mortar place, and now you have the food truck,
right.
Okay? And you also have the food part now. Talk a little bit about that, from an expansion standpoint and where Fusion is going, where you see Fusion is going.
Yeah. So after I closed, there's no brick and mortar anymore, but we still had the truck. That was probably the best thing we did at the time, not really knowing what the future lies.
Right.
So when we got the truck, it was just supplemental. It wasn't to run full time because that was never even my path. I was like, I don't want to do this full time. I have a brick and mortar. So we just always had it. I didn't use it even as much as I could have when we were open. But once I started feeling the passion come back to reopen, I was like, okay, I have the truck. Now, what am I going to do with it? Because again, I don't want to bounce around. Like my mindset in this business where I saw Fusion was not the typical food truck where you have to figure out where they're going to be.
Right. You didn't want to go to location to location to location. You wanted...
Because I already had a following. So because I had the brick and mortar, there was already a following of people that knew me to be in Somerville. Okay. So, and even though we got requests for Mount Pleasant, North Charleston, different areas, Somerville is like where Fusion started. Right. So my thought was, okay, I need to find somewhere where I can just be here all the time. No one has to wonder where Fusion is. And even that was a journey. I had, people helping me find locations, and it was just bumps in the roads of, no, you can't leave it overnight. And it's like, I want to use my truck just as like it was a brick and mortar.
Right.
So it took a while, and then I saw the area where we currently are. And I said, it's perfect. This would be perfect if I could do this. Because, of course, I'm from Atlanta. There's food truck parks in Atlanta. Like I went home and I was like, wow, this is nice. There's nothing like that here.
So you provide a space to where other businesses can be a part of it and run their particular food truck. And you also have been out there as well, have a place for the kids to kind of, play around a little bit. Where do you see 2 to 3 years from now, the vision? If you can kind of go in depth just a little bit more, as much as you want, a park full of food trucks, activities. I mean, can they rent the space?
Yes. So yes, the vision for the food truck park is to have daily rotations of food vendors. Okay. I don't want it solely for myself. I want other people to be able to benefit off of it. And I want people to know that they can come and get some local food and local items here. So yes, I see, a daily rotation of food trucks. I want to have vendors, weekly, weekend vendors. And another part of Fusion is herbal infusion. So this was created during the time I was closed, because again, I did not foresee opening Fusion back. But before I closed, I was in the process of doing an herbal line to include at Fusion, to be able to add into your smoothies, like just enhancers. And so I decided when I was closed, okay, maybe I need to just focus on the more retail side of it. So I created Herbal Infusion to be the retail portion of Fusion, not knowing, how far into it I was going to get. But now that we've reopened, I'm now bottling like herbal teas, tinctures, herb packs. So that's now the growth of Fusion. We now have a sister company that now I'm trying to increase the brand awareness of the more retail items. So we're starting to bottle things. I've started subscription boxes, and most recently the joint partnership with Vine Vegan Restaurant. So she is now the first other small business to now carry Fusion's items. So she has our lemonades, herbal teas, and I've started juicing 2 specialty fresh juices for Vine that you can't get on the truck. And I wanted to do it that way because it makes people go there instead of thinking or knowing they can get it from Fusion. This is a new specialty item, to help promote her and this collaboration,
That's a good thing. And that's one of the things I was kind of leading into as well, because obviously it provides a good space for the food truck to gain more business, more exposure by being a part of your park. But what I've seen you do on social media is you endorse the other people. You post the other people as if it was your own, but giving, of course, credit to their food truck. And that's a great thing that you're doing as well, because
I know how hard it is.
You know how hard it is.
It is not easy.
It's not. And the entrepreneur journey can go up and down, up and down, up and down. And like I said, it's your passion. You decide to do this journey here. You know, there's recurring questions that I want to ask you that we ask on each episode here at the Results or Excuses podcast. You know, I want you to tell us 3 times where you experienced positive results after ignoring all the excuses. Mm-hmm. So these were things that you did when you know you had a valid excuse not to do them. Mm-hmm. And it yielded positive results because you stepped out and made it happen. I'm going to give you a moment to kind of, think about that a little bit. But it's very important for our listeners just because those are the challenges that we all face, Even in my entrepreneur phase right now, working a 9 to 5 and kind of hustling on the back end, just making decisions to do things that I know that I've got an excuse and people would validate my excuse. Right. But instead, I went through it and then it ended up yielding positive results for me. So forth.
I think the first thing that sticks out is the fact that I took the leap from being a nurse. I mean, that's a secure, career field. Taking the leap from being a nurse to jumping into owning a business from scratch with no business background, no culinary background, but just a vision. And I remember, colleagues and you sure you want to do it? What make you want to leave?
You got to go through all that.
Yeah. And you just got to tune that out because you'll see the memes and stuff, you can't expect other people to see your vision.
It's yours.
Right. So I understand the concern. You sure? Because some businesses don't make it. You could go bankrupt. You could, split a household up financially because you decided you wanted to become a business owner.
Right.
So I think taking that leap to say, okay, I have a steady career, good career that, can yield me tons and tons of money, but I'm still going to invest into myself. And there was times I was like, oh boy, they might be right.
Right.
But again, you have to see that vision and know that I think it's a feeling that you get that, okay, this is it.
This is it.
Yeah, this is it.
Once you get that momentum and that rhythm, and that's a powerful thing, write the vision and make it plain. If you hadn't had a smoothie from Fusion, you hadn't had a good year yet.
No, you haven't.
All right. Make sure you check out Alisha at the Fusion Food Park as well, especially if you want to give your business more exposure.
Yes.
She definitely will endorse you as she continues to grow. She wants to grow together. Tell them how they can reach you.
So we are on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow Instagram is fusion_S_J. Okay. And you can just search the Fusion Smoothie and Juice Bar on the Facebook. I actually started TikTok and I'm trying to figure that out. I know you got to keep up with time. So I've started our TikTok. I think it's Smoothie Queen or something like that.
Okay. Search Fusion Smoothie Bar. And we appreciate your time. It's been an honor to have you on the guest today. And Results or Excuses has come to a close.